Hi guys, as we welcome 2024, I wanted to create a retrospective in sneakers for 2023. Now mind you, this isn't a top 10 sneakers list. There's inherent flaws in a top 10 sneakers list, so I wanted to create a more nuanced way into categorizing the best footwear of last year. But before I get into it, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bells for any updates. So let's get into it. Before I get into it, I just want to say that end of year sneakers lists are heated topics for debate. The reason why is because people who are into sneakers, or clothes for that matter, are very style conscious, and each individual has their unique taste and unique style. What a Jordan head would probably consider as the top 10 sneakers of the year probably isn't what a New Balance connoisseur would say is the best sneaker of the year. And we all saw the Complex Con top 10 sneakers of the year panel, and what a dumpster fire that was, right? I'm not a friend of Fat Joe, so I won't be putting the Terror Squad Air Force Ones nowhere in this list. So in order to provide some semblance of structure, I'll be providing my input on the following categories: best Asics, best New Balance, best Nike, best other collab, best GR, best celebrity collab, best new silhouette, best retro, and best release. So the breakout brand this past year has been, without a doubt, Asics. Asics had made huge waves in 2022 with Jown in the Gel Cayano 14 collaboration, but this past year they're unpacking a few more silhouettes and putting them in the limelight. They had a lot of fire releases this past year, especially with the Gel 1130 collaborations with House Studios. They had a very clean pair of the Glacier colorway as well as the Forest colorway. They also even had a lot of very clean GR releases like the Metallic Plum colorway. That's not to mention the Kith exclusives, as well as capping the year off technically with the Gallery Department release, as well as the Above the Clouds release with the GT 2160. But if I had to pick one, personally, this shoe trumped them all. It is a GT 2160, and it's probably the first collaboration they did this year that was semi-high profile, and it is the Dime Asics in the Wolf Arctic Gray colorway. I absolutely loved how the gradient theme was fully celebrated, not only in the very well thought out packaging, but also with the sneaker itself. The colorway also itself is very, very clean. It hits all the notes that I was exactly looking for in a mesh runner this year. Something that was not too metallic, but also very wearable, and if you know factor associated with it. With Dime being a very prolific collaborator in the streetwear space this past year, I'm really happy that they sprinkled their magic this year on a pair of Asics. And the next brand I'm profiling is New Balance. I love New Balance. I've been rocking New Balances since the mid-2000s for its comfort, its durability, and more recently its style and its chicness in the dad shoe trend. This past year they've been tapering off of the 550 and 650 models and leaning more towards the mesh runner vibe with the 1906R, the 2002R, as well as the 990V6. Last year in the catalog of New Balance releases, there were a lot of honorable mentions. I mean, there were the size 990V3s, there were the Concepts 998s, as well as the various Teddy Santis 990V6s. But the one New Balance shoe that shook up the sneaker game last year is undoubtedly the New Balance collaboration with Action Bronson in the 990V6 Bossa colorway. Due to the storied history between Action Bronson and New Balance, where he was snubbed initially in the beginning to now being embraced, and ultimately him having a 990V6 collaboration, this is the most organic collaboration I've seen in a very long time. With the crazy colors, this is something that I've never seen in a shoe in my collection before, so I knew for certain that I had to cop this one. In addition to that, I'm a huge Action Bronson fan, so that was a cherry on top. This colorway is a bit polarizing. It does make sense because Action Bronson is a painter. He loves to paint and juxtapose different colors that may not make sense together, and that's fully realized within the sneaker itself. It's organized chaos, if you will. He did offer a lapis lazuli pair, but this is the pair for me. I love the comfort of the 990V6, and actually this is the most worn pair that I copped this year. I was extremely tempted to put the 990V4 Joe Fresh Goods 1993 capsule collection in the Keisha Blue colorway onto the list as number one. However, I gotta be honest with myself, this shoe is much more impactful to me than them. So the next brand up is Nike. So Nike has been a powerhouse in releases every single year. However, this past year, there are a few releases that truly sparked my interest. So as a previously hardcore Jordan head for Jordan 3s and 4s specifically, this year has had great releases. Now, the two pairs that I copped legitly this past year has been the Reimagined 3s as well as the Pine Green SB4s. You guys know where this is going. So both shoes were a must cop in my book. For the Jordan 3 Reimagined particularly, I've always wanted a cement gray Jordan 3 in my collection. Never had a chance to get it, so this was a great opportunity for me to get it. Thankfully, it was actually quite easy. I actually walked into Undefeated and I asked for the size and they had it. The problem with this pair, however, this year were the quality control issues. There was a huge quality control issue with the density of the elephant print for the elephant print panels of the shoe. Thankfully, the overall volume of elephant print for my pair was decent. However, the overall thickness for each of the strands of the elephant print could be a little bit more improved upon. But from afar, I'm sure it looks fine. Just doesn't compare to my other Jordan 3s. On the other hand, we have the Pine Green SB Jordan 4. So this is the first ever Nike SB Jordan 4 collaboration. They fully retooled the sole. They fully retooled how the comfort and feel of this sneaker is to accommodate for the rigors of skating. And so when considering the quality control issues for this pair compared to the Nike SB Air Jordan 4 Pine Green, I gotta give it to the Pine Green SB Jordan 4. It's revolutionary. It is the shoe of the year for Nike for 2023. So the next brand I'll be profiling will be Adidas. So Adidas has making huge waves recently with the Adidas OG Samba. You see it everywhere in the streets. And they've had solid releases throughout the years with collaborations with Sean Wotherspoon on the Gazelle, as well as with Wales Bonner on the Adidas capsule collection that they had. However, I think that the Adidas shoe that trumps them all this year, which I didn't partake in, I'm not an Adidas head, but something that I kind of considered on actually copying for myself would have to be the Kith Clark's Adidas 8th Street Samba. So the 8th Street Samba is unique in the sense that it's a triple collaboration between Kith, Adidas, and Clark's. And it's unique in the sense that they used the Clark's crepe sole and mashed it together with an Adidas Samba. So they released two pairs earlier this past year in the chalk white and green pair, as well as a darker tone. I believe it's a blackish brown pair. But I wasn't too keen on those. There were two pairs that were released in the Christmas or Kithmas season. One with more of a festive Christmassy colorway for the stripes, as well as a classic core black colorway, which I think that would be the best Adidas release this past year. The reason being is that because it's actually a true ode to the original classic Samba, but they remixed it with the sole of Clark's, rather than a slightly modified colorway with the Clark's sole. Now moving on to the next category, which is other brands. When I say other brands, I consider brands such as Saucony, as well as Salomon, and when I consider what is the best sneaker from the other brands, I had to look back at my collection as a whole and see what really stood out. So Saucony has had a stellar year, especially with their release in collaboration with Color Plus Company, as well as J-Tips. I was also a huge fan of Salomon as well, dipping my toe in some collaboration pieces that they had, such as the Jown pair. You check out my video on that. But when I consider the best pair from another brand, I gotta say, and it's highly debatable, it would have to be the XT6 Cathay Spice colorway. I know, this choice is a little bit from left field, but hear me out, okay? So, for two reasons. First off, the colorway itself is very clean. How the Cathay Spice really blends in with the gray, number one. Number two, it's my introduction to Salomon, so that gives me a little bit of a partial affinity to this pair. So I know this isn't a collaboration pair, but hear me out. Okay, so this is a very similar colorway to other higher profile releases such as the N Porcini Mushroom pair, but at a fraction of the cost. In addition, I don't think I have a pair like this in my whole collection. And lastly, get this, I got this pair for $104 from the SNS summer sale. A technical runner like an XT6 standard goes for $200+ MSRP, but I managed to find a really good deal for this pair. And hence I embraced this shoe as a beater. I put it through rain, I put it through mud, I put it through different types of terrain. The overall comfort of it isn't that of a New Balance, but I would say it allowed me to appreciate the Salomon brand much more. So the next category I'll be profiling will be Best GR. So Best GR, it could be highly contested because all of these brands are releasing so many GRs from different types of categories, whether it's basketball, running, and even lifestyle. But what really makes a GR? So I started to think about it, and it has to be defined by the release method as well as the accessibility of the shoe. I was considering 2 pairs of sneakers this past year would make Best GR sneaker. However, I have to go with the new silhouette from New Balance, and that is the 991 V2, the made in UK pair. But why the 991 V2 and specifically the Rock Ridge colorway? Well, it's because it's an extremely wearable silhouette, number one. Number two, it implements the new technology of fuel cell from New Balance into the design language of the 991 itself. So it really pays an homage at the same time as well as upgrading the sneaker. The only detractor here probably is because of that very high price point for the made in UK New Balances. So henceforth, that's the reason why I didn't actually take the dive. But if I had to rewind the clock and maybe did a little bit of shifting around of my sneaker purchases this past year, I probably would have considered this one. So the next category I'll be profiling will be celebrity collaborations. And so celebrity collaborations really run the gamut between what's really dope and what's not. It could be the really garbage bargain bin collaborations such as Billie Eilish and Nike brand on the Air Force 88, as well as surefire hits like Jordan brand and Travis Scott on the Jordan 1 lows. There are also mediocre releases such as Travis Scott and Nike brand on the Air Mac Attack, but one shoe has to trump them all, and it has to be the Air Jordan 3 J Balvin Medellin Sunset. So J Balvin and Jordan brand has a storied relationship with collaborations on the Air Jordan 2 as well as the Air Jordan 1. And I would say that Air Jordan 3 attempt is by far his best work yet. And the reason being is that for a very predominantly muted tone sneaker, which is very wearable, there's some very unique hits of gradient on the back mudguard of this shoe, which I don't think I've seen ever in an Air Jordan 3. Honestly, it's one of my biggest regrets this past year on not copying. The next category I'll be profiling will be Best New Silhouette. So these sneaker brands really are pumping out retros mostly throughout the year, and so it's a really big deal if they have a huge hit with a brand new design, color, and finish. Though initially I thought that the Air Flea 2 would slot into this category perfectly, I really thought about how wearable this shoe is. I really don't think I could actually wear this sneaker, number one. Number two, I heard that they're not comfortable at all. I heard that they are so heavy on foot. In addition to that, sizing was all over the place. And so because of that, I had to really give it back to the 991 V2 from New Balance as the best new silhouette. Due to the wearability of the sneaker as well as me only envisioning more and more colorways from this silhouette in the future from New Balance, that's why I'm deeming this as the best new silhouette of the year. So finally, we've reached the final category of this video. It's my favorite category, which is the best retro of 2023. So I know that Air Jordan heads are out there are going to flame me because I know that every single year Air Jordan releases stellar retros from their vast catalog. However, I have to give the best retro of 2023 to New Balance and Concepts on the 998 C-Note. So what makes this sneaker such a big deal is because as a long-time New Balance head, the fact that this sneaker is re-releasing after 10 years is a huge and rare occurrence. This is a legendary sneaker within the community as well as a coveted colorway. And this is truly a second chance. The comfort of a 998 is a no-brainer for me, as well as the colorway is so clean with its khaki and beige muted tones. Hopefully this is a harbinger for retroing super rare releases from New Balance's catalog. I wouldn't mind if they retroed the Soul Box Purple Devils or the Toothpaste Pack. So I lied. This is actually the last category of the video, which is the best sneaker release of 2023. And when I think about great sneaker releases, I think about how brands balance the relative rarity of the sneaker with the accessibility of how to obtain the sneaker. And also the uniqueness of the sneaker itself and how it transcends beyond just sneakers themselves. With that in mind, I'd have to award the best sneaker release of 2023 to the triple collaboration between Kith, Marvel, and Asics on the July 3 collection. And the reason being is that it is so unique on how they rolled it out. They previewed it only a few weeks before the actual true release. There were a lot of different types of materials that Kith released to build up the hype very organically, as well as the uniqueness of the 6 pairs that were profiled. So it was dropped in San Diego Comic-Con firstly, and the lines there were astronomically crazy. In addition to that, due to the blind box nature of the release, there was some added excitement every time someone were to unbox the sneaker. It was also not just geared towards sneakerheads, but to fans of the Marvel franchises themselves, allowing to pull people in not just from the sneakerhead community, but also from the comic book community as well. So check out my video on my unboxing. I've never experienced such exhilaration when opening a box of sneakers, and I ended up with this pair of Cyclops sneakers, and I'm in love. I'm definitely going to beat these up in 2024. So that's the video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree with my picks. 2024 is among us. There's already some fire releases in the calendar. It's also a great year because resale is down, which is great for us true sneakerheads. I'll see you guys next time.